Hi folks, you're with Jason. Thank you very much for choosing to stop in and check out my video again today. So this is a follow-on from the last video where you would have seen in the thumbnail me sitting at this bench here with either side of me some boxes that had come to me in the mail. And yes, there was a bit of clickbait there to say that no, I didn't pay for those boxes, and that was the truth though. They weren't. The contents of those boxes were not mine, or not for me, with exception of the fact that Alex had sent me almost 10 kilograms of Schumacher Cougar parts. Now, vintage Schumacher Cougar parts, I will say, because I'm wanting to build up a car like one of these. And what I did with Alex was I sent him down as an exchange some on-road cars and parts that he could make some use of, because that's just not my forte. And in return, I said, look, send me up all your parts. I already have some Cougar 2 parts, and what I wanted to do was try and find the extras I needed. So it kind of worked in two ways. I offered to clean up all of the grubby parts that Alex had sitting away in boxes, and also for me to peruse through all the bits and pieces and see what bits I could grab in order to build up another one of these cars here. So no, neither of these cars are going to my friend or to Alex, but these are one of my favourite cars ever to have come out of RC, and of course these are the team versions. And this particular car I've had since the very beginning of me coming back into this vintage thing, and I'm going to say mid-2000s, and I almost hand-painted this body shell to replicate the review that was done in the radio control car action back in the early 90s, and I wanted something that looked as close as possible to the article. And I might pop up some photos of that article, because I do have them somewhere, and I'll pop them in this video just to share the inspiration behind what I've got here. And also, this is what we term as our runners or vintage races, and this is the car that I actually race and drive. In fact, I think the last time I actually raced this car was at Castle Hill quite a few years back, and prior to that was when my dear late friend Dan Rowlands, before he passed away sadly, he did come to Australia many years ago, and I'm going to say it's 10 plus years ago now. And back then he came to Australia and he bought some cars with him, and I had this car, and we went to St Ives, and I took him to Castle Hill and to ride, and we did a club meet at Castle Hill with our vintage cars, and have some photos to remember those good times by. Also, we did shoot some video with my very old GoPro Hero 2 camera at St Ives. And this was one of the cars that was going around the track back then, and he had his Toms, and he had an RC10, I think it was a gold pan. But anyway, yeah, so in the earliest of my videos on this channel, now please forgive me because my editing skills just were non-existent back then, and I didn't have a very good camera, and I didn't understand settings, but there is actually video at the beginning of my channel, the earliest videos of us at the old St Ives track back when it was still very close to the 1989 IFMAR configuration. So back then it was like walking onto hallowed ground. It was very exciting to turn up to St Ives, and it was fantastic to have Dan out there at that point, and we just had a blast out there. So yeah, this car has some significant memories to me, because it was a car that I enjoyed driving alongside his RC10 at a couple of those tracks. And so yeah, this is my team car. This is the car that's been built, raced, pulled apart, cleaned. In fact, I did actually track down another chassis. So this chassis is replaced the really worn out one that I did have. It was a bit beat up. So yeah, this is my actual car that I would put on the track. And I've yet to fit it out with new electrics, but yeah, this is my car, and the idea was to send Alex back from all of his parts a Cougar 2 team car because, again, back into story time, but before I actually ever met Alex, and I used to see some things going on at Tamiya Club, and Alex used to have a Cougar 2 team car, and he was running it around in some dirt lot somewhere with also now the late Willie Chang, who was, people knew him as Panda Graphics or WC or, Willie. And back in those days, that kind of inspired me even to get to this point, because I thought, wow, someone's actually running a Cougar 2. I thought, wow, those things are ancient. And that would have only been maybe, I don't know, maybe 12 years old, that car back then. But and look where we are now, many, many years later. So the idea was, from the parts that came to me from Alex, is I've so far managed to go through my own Schumacher spare parts and clean up a bunch of his, and so I've got some parts here that I'm starting to put together. And I need to say a big thank you to Richard Bull, who's a good friend of mine here on the Central Coast, and he's kindly donated this chassis plate to go towards this project for my friend. My friend's name is Sean, and I'm going to be building up, well, something very similar to what you see here for Sean, because Sean expressed to me not too long ago that he really missed the opportunity to get one of these cars a long time ago, and he really wanted one, and he doesn't have a big collection, but he's really into Schumacher, and he's picked up a Pro Cat from Richard, and Richard and I and others have been sort of chipping in a bit, wanting to help him out and get his car on the track, and so I'll have a four-wheel drive and a two-wheel drive with this Cougar 2 team car, but also a second team car. This one's going to go back to Alex. So Alex isn't too fussed about condition, and this car is the chassis has been well loved, well used. So, but I'm going to put it back together. I'm going to rebuild it, and again, he didn't send me up a Cougar 2 team, but I managed to put together some parts from his and also from my stash, and so I've got two more Cougar 2 team cars to build. So 4 Cougar 2 team cars on this table, and this is a very rare sight to behold because you just don't see these cars every day. And sure, Schumacher has released the Top Cat and the Cougar 1, not the Cougar 2, not a team, and not a works, not as yet. So 2 more cars to join the Vintage Bash 3.0. So both drivers will be at that event as well, so it'd be really cool for more people to have these things out on track. And the Cougar 2 is a fantastic racer. It's a really great car to drive, and it's very durable, very quick, very reliable, handles well. I mean, just looks like one of the sexiest things ever. It's just one of the coolest cars, in my opinion, one of my all-time favourite two-wheel drives. In fact, I can't think of one I like more. So, yeah, that's even the TRX-1. I love the TRX-1, but not as much as the Cougar 2. And so, yeah, in that last video, guys, I had a whole heap of dirty parts being unpacked out of boxes. And I did make some light humour of Alex's plastic bags. So I've gone out and bought 5 boxes of Ziploc Glad bags in all different sizes. So I've literally cleaned up every single component with in a big tub of Simple Green and a little scrubbing nail brush. So every single part in here has been scrubbed clean. There's no more grime or grit or dirt. These parts are all as clean as you're going to get them, and he's got so many parts, and I've even collated them all together. So, you know, like Alex will be getting all these parts back, and he can sell them, he can trade them, he can build cars from them, he can do whatever he wants. It was just a favour from me for Alex so that he could easily get access to these parts, and He'll also get a car back built for him and set up. It'll be literally ready to just to fit his electronics and jump on the track, you know, including setting up the shocks with oil and valving and all that sort of stuff. I'll even have the whole ball diff tuned up for him. And so in those cars and parts that came out of that big 10 kilogram box, there wasn't any super uber cool parts in there, like nothing, you know, for the Cougar 2 works or speed secrets, bits and pieces or whatever, but there was one alloy diff center. So in Alex's car will be a 23mm Pro Diff, and I also had here in my collection another alloy Pro Diff which will be going into Sean's car. So all these cars can go out on track and they should be pretty reliable and have some fun with them out in the dirt. But anyway, so less waffle, more getting back into the work on these cars. Now, I've got a bunch of parts behind me on the bench that I'm just starting to sort out, the metal parts. Now, I've cleaned all of the bearings, flushed them out, and lubricated them with inox, and I am going to start building the diffs and the transmissions and putting the chassis together. And another note, I will also be building the two cars out of all full stainless steel hardware. So gone are those posi drive screws and some of them even flathead screws, just such a pain to deal with, because as you're turning the driver they'll slip off and go into your hand, and you know, there's just another cut to an oil for a little while until it heals up. But no, hex drive, stainless hardware, guys. Yeah, so watch your space. I'll be back for another video. I just wanted to do an update and bring light to the situation in the comments. No, those boxes were not gifts. They came to me, and I'm actually doing both Alex a favour and Keith a favour, because I'm putting time, effort, and even some of my own parts and my own money, like the simple green and the shell light and the cleaning products. You know, I've already spent $80 in those things to do my friends a favour. So, but it's something that I really want to do for Alex, especially because for many years I've been harassing him. Let's do something with these parts, Alex. You know, you've just got them sitting in boxes. They're not going to do anything. They're never going to have any life out there. So I believe by the time that box gets sent back to Alex, he can do much more with them, and people can benefit. So I'm quite happy to even leave his details in the comments when I'm done. And if anyone needs Schumacher Cougar specific bits and pieces, you know, I'm sure he's going to be happy to let a few bits and bobs go. So anyway, it's time now for me to hit the bench, and I'm going to leave you guys here, and we'll catch up on the next one. So thanks, guys, and we'll see you soon. Bye now.